So the new chapter and transmission just dropped on the PTB, and it's a pretty refreshing chapter. The killer is not particularly fun. It's not like the killer has a dash or something that actively encourages it to chase, but it does still have a chase ability, and that's gonna make some killers want to play for chase. And considering the last 6 months have been filled with the most boring playstyles a human being can come up with in this game, it's a breath of fresh air to see a killer that's actually gonna chase you. But with every new killer and survivor release, there came new perks. And these perks, well, more specifically, two survivor perks are causing a massive fuss in the DBD Twitter community. Those perks are Made for This and Scavenger. If you're out of the loop, Made for This is a perk that flat out makes you faster, 3% faster, when you're injured and not exhausted, meaning you can't sprint burst away from a killer and then be 3% faster when the killer does hit you. That doesn't work. The perk itself doesn't make you exhausted, but if you are exhausted for any other reason, you're not going to be faster. And there's also an endurance status effect somewhere in there. No one's complaining about that. No one really cares. And Scavenger is pretty much a toolbox only built to last, but instead of having to hop into a locker and wait for 12 seconds for your toolbox to be recharged, you gotta hit 4 great skill checks after your toolbox has already been depleted. If you do hit those 4 skill checks, you're gonna get all your charges back, but it only works once, and then the perk is disabled for the rest of the game. Now, there's a lot of people complaining about these 2 perks and saying that they're too powerful. And I want to tackle the arguments that people are making on Twitter about these perks, more specifically Made for This, and explain why I think people are overreacting too much about these 2 perks. We're gonna start with Made for This, and I have a few arguments that I found on Twitter. I'm not gonna name drop anyone that made the arguments because I don't want to cause drama, and I know how the DBD community is. And 2 content creators can't disagree with each other without people thinking that they want a fist fight. I am only here to discuss the perks. I have nothing against the people that made the arguments about the perks, but I'm still not gonna name drop anyone. So the first argument, and the one that I think is the dumbest, is that it only affects weak killers and doesn't really do anything against strong killers. The reason I think it's dumb is because that can be applied to any survivor perk that's ever been released to this game. Guess what? Nurse doesn't really care about you sprint bursting away. She's just gonna blink and catch up to you in 5 seconds. You know who does care? Trapper. Yeah, it's gonna take him like 30 seconds to get to you after you sprint burst away. What, you think Blight cares about your life? Nope, he's just gonna rush and catch you in 5 seconds. Guess who does care? Clown over there. He's suffering. Sure, that argument is factually correct. Nurse is not really going to care about you being 3% faster. That's the same for every survivor perk in the game, so that's a non-argument for me. And on top of that, the only perk that ever even did anything against the strongest killers in the game, being DH, was Gutted, when it really didn't do much against M1 killers. So that's clearly not what BHVI has in mind. The second argument is one that comes from me. I'm the one making this argument. I didn't see anyone else mentioning this because I think it's pretty clear that a 3% haste doesn't really do anything if you're running in a straight line. It takes the killer a whopping 3 seconds extra to catch up to you if you're running in a straight line. That's not game changing at all. When a survivor is looping a structure, 3 seconds can and will be the difference between a survivor actually reaching a pallet for a second loop or the killer actually making the swing. And you know what that does? It encourages survivors to actually loop structures instead of pre-dropping and running away. If there is a perk in this game that actively encourages survivors to play the actual fun part of the game, I am all for it. If there's a perk that disencourages the most boring survivor playstyle that you can go against as killer, being the whole sprint burst, pre-drop, and run away meta, I really want it in the game. I want it badly. The perk by itself encourages fun, engaging gameplay that can always be countered by mind games and power usage by the killer. Sure, as I said, those 3 seconds matter a lot in those scenarios, but those scenarios should be encouraged because that's the best of DBD. Or would you rather go against a survivor that sprint bursts away from you and then pre-drops a pallet and there's really no engaging gameplay? There's nothing you can do if a survivor pre-drops and you're not playing nurse. So why would you discourage a perk that's gonna completely counter that? And the third argument, which is the one that I'm most passionate about, is that people seem to think that staying injured is not that big of a requirement to be 3% faster. Sure, Made for This is the only perk in the game that flat out makes you faster theoretically for the entire game. But you know what other perk makes you injured and gives you some reward for staying injured? No mither. Or mither. No mither, no mither. Yeah, that guy. Risk versus reward is something that this game is missing badly. Ever since the H was gutted, there's almost no reason to stay injured. The only real quote-unquote reward you get for staying injured is more generator progress because you're not wasting time healing. And I sincerely don't understand why people seem to think that staying injured is not that big of a requirement. It is the single biggest hindrance you can have as a survivor. Staying injured means you can't save people from hooks without being in constant danger. You can't do a generator against most stealth killers in the game or ranged killers in the game because there's always the chance that they're going to be right behind you or shooting a hatchet across the map to down you. You can't stay injured if you're oblivious. You can't stay injured against anything that blocks the killer's terror radius. Being injured is terrible. And because it's so terrible, there should be a mechanic, an interesting mechanic in the game that rewards you for staying injured the entire game. And honestly, I don't even think 3% haste is worth it. It's way better to just have sprint burst up, heal myself, and have the killer have to chase me for 5 minutes just to catch up to me. There's no other perk in the game that actively encourages you to play risky and go for risky things like greeting pallets and staying injured. This is fun. This is Dead by Daylight at its finest. This is the best of DBD, and this is what DBD should encourage you to do. Being risky is fun. And I'm so passionate about this that I really don't want to see this perk being nerfed because people are too focused on the comp meta, and I don't even think people are going to be running this perk in competitive. I literally do not see a reason to run this perk over Sprint Burst if you're trying to win games. The only reason you'd ever run this perk is if you're trying to have fun in a chase. So it's just crazy to me that there's people out there that, you know, don't want to see this perk in the game. So Scavenger. I don't really care, to be honest. This perk can disappear for all I care. I'm not gonna die on a hill where I'm defending a generator perk. I couldn't care less about winning games, if I'm being completely honest. What bothers me about the whole controversy surrounding Scavenger is that it's just a good perk. That's all it is. I see a lot of people comparing it to Build to Last. I see people saying that it doesn't even save that much time, that it needs more requirements, that everyone hits 4 great skill checks a game. Bro, well, it's like, you guys understand that not everyone that plays this game is a sweat lord. If your whole argument is that Swifts are gonna abuse this perk, then sure, you're right. But that's the same with the argument that made for this only affects the weak killers and doesn't do anything against strong killers. You think because someone's running Scavenger and doing a generator 20 seconds faster is gonna make them win a game? That's after they've already used the toolbox and hit 4 great skill checks after the toolbox has already been depleted. Who sits on a generator for that long, you know what I mean? Sure, there might be Swifts out there that bring 4 toolboxes and do generators super fast with Scavenger. But at that point, do you even want to play the game? You know, why not bring NOAD, No Way Out, Blood Warden, bring the whole kit. Bring all the endgame perks and just don't care about generators. And to be completely honest, I don't even see how this perk is as overpowered as people are making it out to be. It's just gonna be a good perk that you're gonna see every now and again. The most popular perks in the game are not hyper-focused stakeout, prove thyself. They're chase perks. You're not gonna see Scavenger. Even if the perk could be used multiple times, people still wouldn't use it because people want to run resilience, sprint burst, vigil, self-aware. They wanna go for chases. At the same time that I don't think the perk is as good as people are making it out to be, I think that making generators faster is just a bad idea. That's what people complain about the most. And I feel like this perk being added to the game the way it is, even though I think it's just massive placebo and copium by people that play killer too much, it's just gonna make them want to play sweatier because they're gonna feel like the gens are going by faster than they actually are, and then they go into endgame and no one actually has Scavenger, but because they thought they did, they played sweatier and never chased, kicked gens all game. I think it's a massive overreaction, and the only reason it has so much traction is because otzdarva commented and made a video about the perk, and I'm never gonna question otzdarva's knowledge about this game. Again, otzdarva taught me so much I know about this game. He's much more knowledgeable than I am. But at the same time, I really, as a Survivor main that plays more Survivor than he does, probably, I can guarantee you that I'm never gonna click on that perk unless someone asks me to on my stream or I get it for a randomizer episode. I guess my whole argument about Scavenger is that people are overreacting too much because they think it's gonna be the next what? The next what? Oh no. There are no other generator perks in the game that people actually use. So I guess it's gonna be the first generator perk in the game that people use. Yeah. I don't know, man.
Woof.